It's 3 a.m. I just touched down. Wanna call me to buzz down. It's love over lust now. I don't know who to trust now. Tell me who can I trust now? Hey. Yeah. It's 3 a.m. I just touched down. Wanna call me to buzz down. It's love over lust now. I don't know who to trust now. Yeah. Who can I trust now? Hey. Lately I've been on the go. Was home away from home, inner teed up on my own. Load up the beat, bitch, I'm in my zone. I feel alive today. Don't fuck up my vibe today. Don't come at me stirring my pot. You might get erased from the plot and end up on the plot of them grass blades. They been throwing me mad shade. All this ducking and dodging, your off in the wavelengths. Get you negative headspace. That version of me that you thought that you knew had been newly updated. I'm activated. Whatever they on, oversaturated. I'm the cure, my intention is pure. My life been a blur, yes sir. Yeah. I've been stitching my wounds and flipping my tunes and versing my curses. I wrote it in braille, never stale. I spoke it in cursive. I'm not from where earth is. The features ethereal, the ancestors surging through veins. I've been curving and purging all person in places and things that don't serve me. My hands on the cloud, my feet where the turf is. That's perfect. On God, bitch, yeah, I'm activated. Control, burning down trees. Big shout out my ashtrays. Never empty, I'm litty. I've been playing the city. Yeah. Still playing the city. It's 3 a.m. I just touched down. Wanna call me to buzz down. It's love over lust now. I don't know who to trust now. Tell me who can I trust now? Hey. Yeah. It's 3 a.m. I just touched down. Wanna call me to buzz down. It's love over lust now. I don't know who to trust now. Yeah. Who can I trust now? I've been playing the city. It's 3 a.m. I just touched down. Wanna call me to buzz down.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody who is in the room. If you can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face, all right? I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? We got, shout out to my man TD Hip Hop Media. Make sure that you guys throw TD Hip Hop Media some radiation emoji and some flames in the chat for that dope live stream that he did tonight. Shout out to Patricia Slade. We got my man Tony Taylor, all right? And that's what's good. And we got the bots, all right? So shout out to the bots. If there's anybody in the chat that can throw some bot enforcement emoji in the chat, make sure y'all show the bots some love. Throw them bot enforcement emojis in the chat. So speaking of bot enforcement, what we're going to talk about is the new robotic law enforcement that we have that's out here doing insane things. Now, a couple years ago, I want to say it was either a year ago or 2 years ago, we did a live stream about a company called ShotSpotter that has an artificial intelligence surveillance system that's been installed by many Democratic cities. Imagine this, one of which is Chicago, and probably no migrant is in the database. However, ShotSpotter is a company that uses artificial intelligence to figure out bullet trajectories based on sound and based on triangulation. What ended up happening was it miscalculated and ended up putting an elderly man in jail. Well, a year later, artificial intelligence strikes again. We're going to talk about a situation where there was a mistaken identity because of faulty facial recognition technician. Now, again, I got to shout out TD Hip Hop Media, and I also got to shout out Ryan Graham, because on the TD News Network website, there are some articles that discussed the difficulty that artificial intelligence has when it comes to facial recognition when dealing with Black people. Believe it or not, it should be pretty easy to believe considering who most of the programmers are. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. Got a couple videos. Got a couple articles. Let's get into it. Shout out to my man Jay Cage. What's good with it?
Well, it was a nightmare that became reality for one Houston man who was falsely identified by facial recognition software, thrown into jail, and violently attacked. So, how can that happen? Fox 26's Dominique Keith is taking a look at that for us here tonight. Dominique.
Yeah, Anthony, 61-year-old Harvey Eugene Murphy Jr. says he wants his story of being wrongfully arrested and raped in jail told because as his
Now, here goes my question. You guys heard all that, right? How many people heard about this story? If you heard about this story, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this story, give me a thumbs down. And also shout out to everybody who's in the room watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment. Make sure that you guys smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're watching, take a moment, subscribe to the channel. And wherever you're watching from, please make sure that you share the stream.
attorney explains facial recognition misidentifying someone could happen to anyone.
Well, facial recognition software is used everywhere. It's the standard now on security. We have it on Ring, for example. Your house is running facial recognition software.
Just when we're getting used to cameras capturing us everywhere we go, now that same technology is focusing on our faces.
They study your features.
Now, how many people have ever been to Walmart and seen those cameras at Walmart? If you look up over the cash register, you will see these cameras, and the cameras have this little yellow aura that they focus on your body, and then there's a yellow square that focuses on your face. If you've ever seen those devices at Walmart or anywhere, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys have not ever seen those, then give me a thumbs down.
They create a map of your face. Artificial intelligence with facial recognition is being used on airports, social media.
Even in department stores. Harvey Eugene Murphy Jr. is now suing Macy's and Sunglass Hut after a Houston Sunglass Hut was robbed at gunpoint, and Murphy's attorney says the two stores used facial recognition technology that wrongfully identified Murphy as the robber.
So now here's my question for you. Facial recognition wrongfully identified this individual as the robber. So his alibi didn't matter. His testimony didn't matter. Witness testimony didn't matter. Only the calculations of what the artificial intelligence said clearly mattered, because this individual ended up getting put in prison. And while he was in prison, he was violated in prison. And mind you, this dude did not do anything wrong. Shout out to Shamika Gray. Let me ask you guys this. How many of you guys see this as a problem?
He was arrested, put in jail, and there he says he was sexually assaulted by 3 men.
Facial recognition is not perfect. It's prone to errors.
Which is why facial recognition in your phone doesn't always select the right person when grouping pictures. By the way, you know the selfies you touch up a bit?
Your own face is being scanned, recognized, and used to train artificial intelligence systems on facial recognition.
The ACLU and several others have conducted studies showing minorities are more likely to be misidentified by facial recognition, in part because a darker image can't properly reveal darker skin.
Okay, so now we see there's an implicit bias with the artificial intelligence. Yet and still, you have right-wing media that says that there's no such thing as racism. Now, here's the question for you. Why is the technology doing this? Mind you, artificial intelligence operates based on machine learning, and it also operates based on neural mesh, which means that its learning styles are based off of the way that the human brain learns. Artificial intelligence is the creation of whose quote-unquote human brains, which means that it's operating based on the thought processes from those human brains, which means that those human brains that program it transfer into it the same misinformation and genetic biases of the people who program the machines. Artificial intelligence sees non-white people the way that its programmers do. So now here's my question for everybody. How do people combat this? Because this isn't a problem that you just sit back and deal with, quote unquote, because artificial intelligence is going to have a huge role in the future. This is a problem that has to be, quote unquote, dealt with. This is one of those things where people aren't just going to be able to sit back and say, well, I'm not going to deal with this, or this isn't my problem. This will be your problem. Just like how it became this individual's problem. So let's throw around some ideas. How do people plan to deal with this? As you guys can see, this individual's lawyer was not able to deal with this. He ended up in jail, heavily based on information that was calculated by an artificial intelligence system. Shout out to Anna. What's good with it, Anna? So my question for you guys is, how do you deal with this? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.
The way facial recognition technology works is the software creates what's called a wireframe face vector, and it's compared to images everywhere from social media sites to mugshots.
These vectors that you have here are in specific positions. So it creates not a unique, but a
Shout out to
very
DSB. What's good with it, bro?
distinctive map of your face.
Now, Macy's says it doesn't.
Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, deal with it by marching and praying. I don't know if that's going to work, man. I don't know if that's going to work. Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think that marching and praying is going to help with this? If y'all think that it is, give me a thumbs up. If y'all think that it's not, give me a thumbs down.
Doesn't comment on pending litigation.
Shout out to Days. What's good with it, bro?
Hasn't responded yet to our request for a comment. And by the way, the tech expert says he has a very specific tip on how to avoid something like this from happening to you. We'll have that for you coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. Reporting live, I'm Damalie Keith, Fox 26 News.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Is this something that any one of us could potentially be a victim of? Is this something that any one of us could be a potential victim of? How do you avoid this? How do you avoid this, or how do you combat this? That's the question. Shout out to Jerry Bedford. What's good with it, bro?
Houston area grandfather is suing the parent companies of the Sunglass Hut and Macy's department store. In 2022, 61-year-old Harvey Eugene Murphy Jr. was arrested, taken to jail, and raped in jail. He was there for a crime he says he did not commit. Here's more background. On January 22nd, 2022, this Sunglass Hut on West Gray in Houston was robbed by two armed men. According to court documents, Sunglass Hut, with the help of Macy's, used facial recognition software to pin Murphy as the alleged suspect. Murphy's attorney says he is from Houston, but was living in California, Sacramento to be exact, at the time of the alleged crime. He had been there for years. He would move back to Houston, and in October of 2023.
So now let me ask you guys this. When this guy was in court, why is it that his alibi and none of the other information were considered? Shout out to Philip Goodman. Yo, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys can hear me okay and the sound is good, give me a thumbs up. If you guys cannot hear me and I need to turn the sound up, then give me a thumbs down.
That's when his life changed. Joining us to talk about it tonight, University of Houston downtown professor Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld and attorney Bayoji Akingbala. Glad to have you all here on the fact. When you read this case and you had a chance to read the civil lawsuit and you read the criminal complaint, your thoughts on what happened here with artificial intelligence and
shout out to Alonda. What's good with it, Alonda?
I would say this: artificial intelligence, it increases the human condition. And so the best way to describe that is my first job. I walked in, I was a fresh law student coming into my first job, and someone actually said I looked like Isaiah Carey. I'm a black man in a suit. That was what was the only thing that they saw, right? And the thing is that happens on all races. I'm sure you probably confused Becky with the long blonde hair with Susie with the long blonde hair.
I've been Cornell X. I've been David Tillman on Channel 13.
Right. So that's called other race effect. What happens is we have a difficulty recognizing people in other races. That you say something such as all blank people look alike. It's something that we all do. It's not necessarily racist. It's an implicit bias. And
Nah, I don't think that everybody does that. But I'll ask you guys, do you all do that? If you guys do that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't do that, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Alonda. Alonda says he sounds moist like Duncan Hines. Hey, does he sound moist like Duncan Hines? Does he sound moist like Duncan Behinds or not? Nah? If he does, give me a thumbs up. If he doesn't, give me a thumbs down.
so just like God is we are created in his image, right? So are people that create things. The things that they create are created in their image. So when you look at the tech industry, who is in the tech industry? It's usually white men in the tech industry. So their biases are now codified in the programs that they make. And so that other race effect is now part of the programming.
So now, again, this right here validates the fact that these people have an implicit bias. But now the problem with what this individual here just said is that he extended that implicit bias deficiency to everybody. And we all know that that's not true. We all know that there's probably, I'd say, 2 races of people that have it the worst. And it's validated by them not being able to program without revealing their implicit biases within the programming. And what do? Anytime you hear these people talk about this particular situation, instead of actually addressing it and looking at data, all they say is, oh, now they're even saying that the machines are racist, despite all of the evidence. But these are the very people that say that every other race of people operates on emotions and doesn't operate on using evidence and facts. This is the evidence. This is the facts.
That these AI technology has a hard time distinguishing between people of color, and it leads to very unfortunate consequences such as this too.
And let's look at the criminal aspect, because that has been established for a while. That's why many law enforcement agencies around the country decided not to use facial recognition, because it has a problem identifying Black people. But we allowed some investigators from private companies to.
I would say that there's certain humans that have problems identifying Black people, or either they don't have problems, they just think that they're funny. I would say that the humans that create this technology transfer their inability to not see others as individuals directly into the software that they try to create. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
To use artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and they provided it to law enforcement here in Houston, and they ran with it.
You know, I had a chance to look at the arrest warrant, and what really stuck out to me is that there's no mention of the artificial intelligence technology being used as an identification means. And that's very problematic, especially.
Yeah, I got to agree. I actually agree 110%. Days says the new frontier is AI. We need our own Ultron. Facts. Let me ask you guys this question. What famous quote did Vladimir Putin make about artificial intelligence? Drop it in the comment section.
Especially when you read the civil complaint, because the civil complaint alleges that officers knew on the front end, and yet nevertheless they made no mention of it in their arrest warrant. And that's going to lead to consequences such as these, because the judge who's signing off on that arrest warrant needs to get accurate information. And so if the judge assumes that someone identified
a photo lineup,
exactly, that's the assumption that was made, but there was no indication to that judge signing that arrest warrant that that photo lineup actually relied on artificial intelligence. That might tip the difference as to whether or not probable cause has been established in
and of course, Dr. Von Biedenfeld, we have talked about before here, and there's been reports and research, artificial intelligence, facial recognition is flawed, especially when it comes to people of color.
I absolutely agree with the prior comments, because there is a note of bias, and because we can only see the world through our lens, we tend to program, create our artistry. The various images of Jesus at different churches are going to reflect that local community, whether it's Norwegian or African American. But we also have to remember that garbage in, garbage out idea, and with the cumulative aspect of what we find on the internet, what we find in our data troves. For 400 years, we were creating images and ideas. The Trayvon Martins, which pictures are you using to typecast them? And the AI is sourcing this information without any sort of context. And so just like the judge needs accurate information, the AI, though, doesn't have the discernment to say, wait.
Right, but here's the issue, though, right? Because, again, I'm not somebody that's all about blaming everything on artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence is only a first line. They got data from the artificial intelligence, but they have actual human testimony, and there's a human judge right now at this point in time. There was a human judge that presided over this, and the human judge dismissed reasoning and logic. So now let me ask you guys this question. What should happen to that judge?
Why am I doing this? So we know about these different law enforcement techniques. We know about the Reed technique. And CVR Coveys begin with the end in mind. What is our purpose? The purpose is to extract a confession, not to find the truth. So in our justice system, are we trying to find the truth, or are we trying to incarcerate people and close cases? And so when law enforcement may take one of these ideas, when they look to psychics, if you look to the ancient sciences of phrenology, oh, you've got a big head or small ears, guess what? You're probably more prone to criminality. When we look at Lombroso and some of those ideas of criminal atavism.
So how many of you guys think that these artificial intelligence bots have been programmed based on the book by Darwin called The Downfall of Man, or based on the bell curve? And shout out to Bam. B1, Bam says, Putin said the nation that leads AI will be the ruler of the world. Now, you would think that a statement like that from somebody like Putin would inspire people who are people that have a power deficit to focus and concentrate their efforts in taking over a market like this in order to balance that power deficit. Wouldn't that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it does not make sense, then give me a thumbs down. And I got to agree with Days. Days says, if the dominant society says that you've done something, then you've done it. Evidence not needed. Now, as of right now, with us having a deficit in artificial intelligence, is artificial intelligence an extension of the dominant society say so? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.
Those techniques and scientific aspects still persist today in how we perceive, and all of that information is taken in by the AI without the cultural construct.
And really quick, you said $10 million is too low for this in our last 10 seconds we have.
Absolutely. I wonder if this is for a quick settlement, because there are a dozen people and agencies that should probably be included in this. And I defer to the criminal defense attorney, because that amount for those damages is low. You got a pregnant woman accused of carjacking. You've got the Chicago incident with Williams and the algorithm finding the shooting.
Now, the Chicago incident with Williams, that's the one I was talking about. If you guys are subscribed to my other channel, Blacklight Revelations, that channel has the video about Williams. There's a live stream about that situation, and there's a video on there.
10 million, go way higher.
What struck me as
Really quick.
what struck me as interesting is that there's no mention of a 1983 law claim. I do think the lawyers might want to look at the level of negligence and denying this gentleman's constitutional rights. There might be a federal law claim as well that they might want to look into.
All right. We want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here tonight on The Factor.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now we're going to take another look at another clip that talks about this. All right. So now here's my question. Why do you guys think that they're not talking about this very much in the mainstream media? Nothing about this in the New York Times. Nothing about this in the Washington Post. Nothing about this in the New York Post. Why is it that you have to go searching for these kind of stories?
A Texas grandfather arrested accused of robbing a sunglasses hut in the River Oak Shopping Center.
The crime did, in fact, happen a year ago, but here's the thing. The accused 61-year-old was not even in Houston. He wasn't even in the state. He was more than 2,000 miles away in California. He is now suing the company and blaming false.
So now here's the question. He was 2,000 miles away. He wasn't even around when this particular situation occurred. So now the question is, how did the judge ignore the information that would have put him 2,000 miles away? If we know that artificial intelligence isn't perfect, then we can't blame artificial intelligence on for this. Now, artificial intelligence needs to be improved, right? The implicit bias needs to be taken out of it. However, this is ultimately the responsible of the human judge, and the human judge's implicit bias is what caused this inappropriate sentence. The human needs to be punished in this case. The judge needs to be punished in this case. How do you ignore information that puts a person 2,000 miles away from a crime scene and still lock that person up? How do you do that? And here's the question. Why are they not focusing on that? They're focusing on artificial intelligence as if artificial intelligence was the judge. Let me ask you guys a question. Did artificial intelligence hit the gavel and say, you're guilty, and then give the sentence? Did that occur? If that occurred, give me a thumbs up. If that did not occur, give me a thumbs down. Also, would you agree that the person who listens to the jury recommendation and the person who makes the final determination on sentencing and hits the gavel, that is the person that is ultimately responsible for this, not artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence doesn't sign off on any search warrants. Artificial intelligence doesn't sit on the bench. Artificial intelligence didn't go to law school. Artificial intelligence doesn't do any of that. It is ultimately the human judge. And ultimately, if we know and understand that artificial intelligence is flawed, that's why there's a human overseer. And the human overseer, like they always do, failed. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 22 people watching and we got 24 likes. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. If everybody can take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 30 likes, that'd be great.
Multi-image recognition software. Security experts are weighing in.
I believe that to be the case, is that it was a false positive. So they got the wrong guy, if that's the case.
KPRC2's Rowan Balogana live from that location where experts say the problem wasn't the tech, but human error. Rowan?
Yeah, Daniela, Keith, as you mentioned, this whole thing happened a year ago this week at the Sunglass Hut on West Gray behind us here. The lawsuit alleges that there were two armed men that entered the store. One put a gun at an employee's head while the other person was ransacking the place. As the investigation goes on, the lawsuit claims that a manager told HPD that they found their suspect using artificial intelligence. However, they said they got the wrong person.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So
a bad picture put in, it gives you bad results.
Exactly.
Nick Thompson is a security expert with ASAP Security Services. They focus on using artificial intelligence and image recognition to prevent crimes.
We try to be more proactive than reactive and give the stakeholders more tools to minimize any further damage.
A lawsuit claims employees at the West Gray Sunglass Hut used their surveillance video with retail shop Macy's artificial intelligence software following a robbery. Store leaders apparently told HPD to stop their investigation because they had their man. A 61-year-old grandfather was arrested while trying.
So now check this out. Look at this again. Who told? I need you guys to tell me. Who said for them to stop the investigation? HPD said they could stop their investigation because he found their guy. Artificial intelligence didn't stop the investigation. The human police officers stopped the investigation. So whose fault is this? They're supposed to investigate until they exhaust all possibilities of error, but they did not. So as a result of them not doing that, whose fault is this? Exactly, Days. What good is proactivity if it's wrong? Facts. And what good is proactivity if they don't plan to respond and improve on the errors, which they clearly don't plan on doing because they're still having the same issues with this stuff.
A 61-year-old grandfather was arrested while trying to renew his license because there was a warrant out for his arrest. While in Harris County Jail, the lawsuit alleges he was sexually assaulted by 3 inmates. Shortly afterwards, he was released and charges dropped when his attorneys confirmed he wasn't even in the States. After reading,
he wasn't even in the States. So now if artificial intelligence says something, they could just pick you up off the street. They could just pick you up and take you away. This is dystopian. This is a surveillance state. This is 1984 on steroids.
His attorneys confirmed he wasn't even in the States. After reading the lawsuits, Thompson believes he understands how the victim was wrongly accused.
Somebody initially said that's the guy. The system didn't do that. So you have to do, I'm going to show you here it with appearance search. This is just appearance search, not using any type of recognition. Okay, it's not using the face, it's using your appearance.
So it sounds like you're saying it was human error, that someone might have pointed someone out and then the system itself was trying to find that person to make it link up or connect.
I think there was some fault in the beginning, and then that just carried on.
So basically what he's saying here is that if somebody calls 911 on you, like how they did Elijah McClain, and there's some type of facial recognition system that they use to get their information for the composite sketch, that composite sketch will basically force your image to appear like the image that's described. That's what is the artificial intelligence is doing. It's trying to fill in the gaps on its own. It's up to the police officer to use human error and reasonability to be able to weed out the errors that artificial intelligence does. Because, see, the idea of artificial intelligence is that artificial intelligence is not supposed to do the work for you. Artificial intelligence is supposed to work with you. But when you have the artificial intelligence that has implicit bias, and you have the police that have the same implicit bias, so artificial intelligence is making errors based on implicit bias is programmed with, and police are trying to compile on that because they have ingrained issues with the people that the artificial intelligence is analyzing. Now you have an extremely bad situation. And I got to agree with Jerry Befford. Jerry Befford says this is just another way to lock up black people. Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with Jerry, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Police Chief Troy Finner put out a statement this afternoon and said that he's deeply concerned by the allegations in the lawsuit, adding that the station is investigating. Now, Thompson there says image recognition is widely used across the country, including here in the Houston area at NRG and even during rodeo. Coming up at 6, he explains to us exactly how this technology works. Live in Montrose, Robb Balogun, KPRC 2 News.
So there's that. All right. So now we got another video. All right. We got another video. So now shout out to Shamika. Shamika says artificial intelligence is another WS tool to use against us. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is that it's a tool that's not being utilized by us for us in our quest for justice. It's something that's just sitting there that people are not really doing anything with. And then when other people pick it up and do something with it, we're saying, well, they're using that. That's like if you're in a fight and there's a baseball bat laying there and you watch the other person go and get the baseball bat, and that person walks up to you and busts you upside the head with a baseball bat, and then you say that baseball bat is a weapon that they used against me. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's a more accurate representation of what's actually going on here. You know what I'm saying? So next, we're going to check this out right here. This goes into a little bit more detail about what's going on with this and what they plan on doing. He's suing this company for $10 million. Here's my question. Do you guys think that he'll win? If you guys think that he'll win, give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that he won't win, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said off code media. Facts. Now, here's my question, right? And Carlton is right, because somebody will sit there and say that that's off code, right? But now my question is, how is that off code? To me, it's more off code to let somebody pick up a baseball bat and bust you upside the head with it. That's the most off code. If there's a bat, if there's a weapon available, and you sit there, and instead of you getting that weapon and using it, you sit there, watch the other person get the weapon, continue to sit there, get the weapon used on you, and then say they used the weapon on me. To me, which is why I am off code media, that's off code. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If that don't make sense, give me a thumbs down. And to me, there's a lot of situations that if we examine those situations, that's exactly what occurred. So to me, what would make more sense is to study why that occurred and then stop the occurrence of that kind of judgment from happening. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, the OG off code media, right? Because Dr. Claude Anderson talked about that in his Powernomics speech when he was talking about that boy that got hit upside the head with the shotgun in Chicago, I believe it was, apologizing that he broke the gun handle when the cop busted him upside the head. But there's nobody that would dare call the great Dr. Claude Anderson off code. But if somebody else said, yeah, you know, Dr. Claude Anderson was right, and that tends to happen a lot. That's why Dr. Claude Anderson called it inappropriate behavior. Speaking of behavior, there's other great, intelligent Black people that have made behavioral observations as well that no one would dare call off code. Neely Fuller Jr. being one of them. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing being another. Dr. Amos Wilson being another. They've said things that if the regular person said it, all of the, whatever you call them, people would come down on you and say that you're off code, you're off code. And then in the same sentence, say that these other people who've made these observations, which that's all they are, is observations. These other people that have made these observations before, they'll call them the greats. Exactly, Days. Shout out to Days. Days says, can't expect someone to stop doing what's working for them. We have to get ahead of it and make it work for us. Facts. Absolutely. That is the exact same. If you use that strategy on YouTube, you will do well. When you find a topic that you do a YouTube video on and the algorithm responds good to it, you keep making videos about that topic to keep getting the algorithm to respond as good as it possibly can. Then once the response goes lower, it gets worse, then you move on to something else. That's why when I start making videos and I do a repeat, I do video after video after video after video after video on a certain topic, I know a lot of times people are like, I don't want to watch this anymore. You guys are great, and I appreciate you guys. But you never really, the architect doesn't really ever get any advice from the person who they're building the house for, except for the design that they want the house to be. They don't get any advice on what type of 2x4s to use, what type of drywall to use, what type of tiles to use, what type of weathering to use, what type of waterproofing to use. They don't get that advice from the person who's buying the house. They get the design specifications from the person that's buying the house. The actual construction of the house is the sole responsibility of the architect. Just like how content creation is the sole responsibility of the content creator. That's why as the more you see complaints in the comment section and the more you do videos about that particular type of topic, the amount of people watching it always increases despite the complaining. Because on YouTube, the algorithm is the boss. And a content creator's understanding of how the algorithm reacts to particular content is contingent on how you build your channel or how well your channel is built. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Carlton is right. And that's why Carlton be having me dying laughing. You know what I'm saying? Because Carlton be saying some true stuff. But a lot of times, because of old school and outdated ideology, the shameful truth is quote unquote looked at as off code. But then when you ask somebody, well, how do we deal with this situation then? Nobody has an answer. Hold hands and sing We Shall Overcome. For one, I like singing rap songs and R&B, so I won't be singing We Shall Overcome. And for two, I'm OCD and I don't like people touching me, so we ain't gonna be holding hands. And that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying?
There, Harry, once again, appreciate all that. Well, tonight there are growing calls for more oversight of facial recognition software used by police.
So it follows an Atlanta News First investigation that uncovered the technology. It was leading to.
So now here goes my question, right? This happened with artificial intelligence. Why is the Taylor Swift story with somebody adding a butt on her? Why is that the main story about artificial intelligence? And this happened. Somebody put some birthday cake on Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gave her some cornbread implants using artificial intelligence. That is what's been circulating around, talking about we need to regulate artificial intelligence. This dude got unlawfully jailed, and while he was in jail, he got violated. But putting birthday cakes on Taylor Swift is the reason why we need to regulate artificial intelligence. I'm going to tell you something about that situation. The artificial intelligence did Taylor Swift a favor. It didn't do this guy a favor. Yet the world is outraged about Taylor Swift. And most people don't even know about this situation. And if you bring this situation up, all people will say is, well, now they're even saying that the machines are racist. And they'll make all kinds of excuses. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. Now, why do you guys think that is? This happened around the same time as the Taylor Swift thing. And then the thing with the guy named Williams, that happened a couple years ago. Shout out to Carlton Wake. Facts. Carlton Wake says people have an unhealthy addiction to celebrities. Yeah. Yeah. Facts. And I got to agree with Shamika. Shamika says that's code. We want it to work for white people. Well, and again, to me, in the case of Taylor Swift, it did work for her. You know what I'm saying? It changed her from a flat back to a CrossFit. That's an upgrade. It changed this black guy from a free man to a convict. You know what I mean? Shout out to Two Factor. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Days. Days said the world is not going to end because of what AI did to Taylor Swift. Not what's going on with Russia or Israel. Facts. Super facts. Just wait. When the AI gets linked with the 3D printers, women will then start using AI art to create them augmented version of themselves, and then the 3D printer will be able to print out the prosthetics that give them the augmented appearance. Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I reserve judgment on that. I don't know. But that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? This is a situation where artificial intelligence is dangerous. People getting locked up. Just imagine TD Hip Hop Media on the TD News Network site. Ryan Glenn wrote an article about an AI judge that showed implicit bias against black people. We already have implicit bias against us, which is one of the reasons why all of those people end up getting locked up for 40 years, and then they get a settlement from the city or the state after being wrongfully incarcerated. Just imagine AI doing that more efficiently and on steroids. Yeah, facts. Freaking weirdos. They're gonna have full body suits. It's gonna be like old girl on I'm gonna get you, sucker. Don't make me hop after you. That's what it's gonna be.
The wrongful arrest of black men. Investigative reporter Sierra Cummings joins us now live at 5. So, Sierra, what do we know now?
Well, they believe lawmakers that the use of facial recognition could violate our civil rights. They're demanding the Department of Justice review funding and standards. It comes after our year-long reporting into false recognition. We found in the cases of innocent fathers wrongfully accused and jailed, police agencies failed to have formal policies in place. The sticking point for researchers, facial recognition should not be used as the sole decision in a criminal case. Advocates warn if it's used, There should be extensive corroborating evidence because our investigation revealed these systems.
Didn't I say the same thing? I said the exact same thing. Now, again, artificial intelligence is only supposed to be a supplement to concrete evidence. They had concrete evidence that this individual was 1,000 miles away when the crime was committed. And instead of using that or even considering using that, they went solely off of what the artificial intelligence said. Make it make sense. Shout out to Ann411. Ann411 says, why AI still can't tell the difference between black people yet? Probably because its programmers say that they don't see race. But you need to be able to see race to properly identify people. So if you have a bunch of white people going around saying, well, we don't see race, you need to be able to see in order to properly identify people. The we don't see race people are the ones building the identification software. So if they don't see certain elements, then the identification is going to implicitly be off. Very, very low IQ deduction from these high IQ alleged people. You know what I'm saying?
Most often falsely match people of color. Georgia U.S. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock and 17 other lawmakers signed this letter. Their questions, one of them, has the DOJ analyze federal grant.
Now, one thing that you will notice about this when it comes to artificial intelligence and when it comes to how this is looked at with the government and all of that, conservatives tend to be very quiet about what goes on with artificial intelligence. Did you guys happen to see Officer Tatum or Greg Foreman or Candace Owens do any type of content on this? If anybody saw the content that Officer Tatum, Greg Foreman, Amanda Ekbanova, any one of those people, if you guys saw any of the content that they made, Coleman Cruz, if they made any content on this, let me know. Now, again, shout out to Neely Fuller Jr., right? Because Neely Fuller Jr. said, and in the future, it'll all be computerized. Y'all remember that? He said they got it down to a science. And in the future, it'll all be computerized. Welcome to It'll All Be Computerized.
Recipients who use the tech. Question number 2, what practices and policies does the DOJ have in place to ensure proper oversight? In that final question of all 8, what are the protections and limitations as the sole basis for identifying and arresting? This letter gives the DOJ until February 29th to respond. Meanwhile, some lawmakers here in the Georgia legislature want to see state regulation too. You can watch our entire false recognition investigative series on AtlantaNewsFirst.com.
So there's that. All right. So this isn't a problem, right? This isn't a problem. There's only 28 people in here. You know what I'm saying? If I was talking about something else, it'd probably be like, you know, between 40 and 70 people in here, right? Now, we all saw somebody get put in jail and get stretched out like yoga class as a result of false imprisonment because of bad information from this, right? And we've already deemed and decided that that's not a problem. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is this a problem right here? The LAPD wants access to 10,000 cameras across the city to do what? Facial recognition, possibly? Let me ask you guys this question. If the LAPD, one of the nation's most notoriously corrupt police departments, gets access to 10,000 cameras across LA, what does that look like? What does that look like? The new surveillance program called LAPD Live would give police real-time access to public and private security cameras across the city of LA. Yeah, shout out to Anna. Anna says, communist China. That's what it looks like. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, welcome to the police state. Shout out to my man Mike Mellis John, B1. The Los Angeles Police Department is in the process of creating a brand new surveillance program. All right. This brand new surveillance program will centralize live video feeds from security cameras, including private homeowner cameras from all across the city of LA, if its budget for the next fiscal year is approved by the LA City Council and Mayor Karen Bass. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If you lived in LA, would you be in support of this, or would you not be in support of this? If you would be in support of this, give me a thumbs up. If you would not be in support of this, then give me a thumbs down. We're going to make it a little bit bigger so that y'all can read it. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Dubbed LAPD Live, the surveillance program would allow the LAPD to build a real-time crime center with access not only to security camera feeds, but also live streams from the department's helicopters. The department also plans to integrate its other surveillance technologies, including the predictive policing tool CompStat, into a single screen. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What is the quote-unquote predictive policing tool CompStat? What is that? What is CompStat? Shout out to my man Bronze the God. What's good with it, bro? What's CompStat? Somebody do a quick Google search and see what CompStat is and let us know in the comment section. What is CompStat? Their stated goal is to have access to 10,000 cameras across the city in the coming years. The new surveillance program would operate out of a newly created command center and is projected to cost $1 million. A new command center. Like that, like those little command posts that they used to have on the cartoons that have all the monitors and you can see everything going on all over the place. That's what LA is going to look like. The department's formal detailed plans for their new surveillance program have been described in funding request documents made public as part of the city of LA's budget process and in a separate grant proposal. Now, mind you, again, we got to tie all this together, right? All of this surveillance stuff is not even going to be able to be used on undocumented bros. Because why? LA is a sanctuary city. So who are they going to be using these surveillance tools on? Who are they going to be using these surveillance tools on? If this program is implemented, the department will have real-time access on and in city buildings, retail stores, police helicopters, and officer body cameras. Under the program, homeowners would also have an option to participate by registering their cameras with the department to more easily share footage. The LAPD would notify homeowners of a crime committed nearby, and as noted in their budget request program, with a few clicks of a computer, would have access to a homeowner's camera footage. Imagine that. Can you imagine all the scandals that would occur as a result of this? Just imagine all of the scandals that would occur. Now they took the budget request information. Looks like it's not on here anymore. We'll see. I'm trying to download this PDF and see if they let me access it. Yeah, here we go. This budget proposal is 745 pages long. $745 pages long. This is insane. I'm going to show it to you guys real quick, and then we'll get back to the other to the other article. Okay. Shout out to Bam. Bam said, under CompuStat, the department keeps a daily updated digital record of crimes reported, and in weekly meetings, the department's leadership gathers to review trends in the data. Okay. So look at this. This is Los Angeles Police Department strategic plan. What kind of strategic plan are you doing that is 745 pages long? You know what I'm saying? Let's see what else they got over here. Modernized technology, page 35. I bet you that's page 35. That's the one right there. Let's see. 35. Let me see. Oh, wait, hold on. Modernized technology. Hold on. Goal number 4 is to modernize technology. This is it. Technology has emerged as a crucial element in the advancement of the Los Angeles Police Department. It promotes efficiency, amplifies the exchange of information, and augments the organization's ability to process and analyze data. Exploring and incorporating cutting-edge technologies will lead to a surge in productivity and a safer Los Angeles. We are committed to allocating resources towards more streamlined and cost-effective processes to minimize crime and successfully address our neighborhood's needs. Officers now have greater versatility than ever before in carrying out their daily responsibilities and meeting the demands of the communities we serve. To achieve our goals, we must prioritize the modernization of technology and improve efficiencies. Now, when they say improve efficiencies, you got to understand we're dealing with the most corrupt police department in the United States. So when they say improve efficiency, they're talking about improve efficiency of maintaining the blue line. If you guys agree, they're talking about maintaining the efficiency of the blue line. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree and you guys think that they're talking about something else, then give me a thumbs down. I'm going to put the link to this PDF in the chat. So if you're watching this video on the replay, all you got to do is just turn on the live chat. And if you want to look at the PDF file, it'll be right here. Okay. They got a lot going on there. A lot going on there. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that those people that live in LA are ready to deal with this? You think that they're equipped to deal with this? If you guys think that they're ready to deal with this and you guys think that they're equipped to deal with this, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that they're equipped to deal with this, or if you guys don't think that they're ready to deal with this, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 24 people watching and we got 34 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 40, that would be great. So now here it says the department argues that this will reduce the time and money spent on canvassing neighborhoods after a crime, gathering evidence, and talking to witnesses. It says this will increase community participation after a crime occurs, as it eliminates the need for officers to visit private residents, which preserves individual integrity. The LAPD has attempted this type of community participation with Ring cameras before. In one recent case, users may have unknowingly participated in sharing their footage with police. Now, how does that happen? How do you have a Ring camera and you unknowingly gave footage to the police? Oh, yeah, big facts. Facts, Carlton. A companion application called Neighbors, a next-door type forum for Ring users, sent footage and alerts from homeowners and other postings in the app to LAPD. That footage and information would normally require a police warrant to obtain, save for the folks who agreed to Neighbors terms and services that allow footage to be sent freely. even if a crime wasn't committed. So people who are not reading the agreement and the online disclosure, they're just clicking yes and getting their footage sent to the police. Now, mind you, you guys see what it said? That footage and information would normally require a warrant. So they're already utilizing this technology to try to bypass the court system to be able to have ease of access to information that in most cases will require a warrant. So they're already trying to create a learning curve of being able to utilize this stuff and corrupt it. Okay. Ring also designated the LAPD as a brand ambassador through a partnership called Pillar, giving out free cameras and codes in exchange for public signups. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do you all think happened with these free cameras and codes that they were giving out for public signups? Do you think that it was free? What do you think ended up happening as a result? Oh, here, we got this free camera for you. How do you think that turned out? What do you think was done there? After the program ended in 2019, a report by the Electronic Frontier Foundation found that the LAPD had requested videos from Ring camera owners for footage of the Black Lives Matter protests. Now, what would the LAPD want with that? What would the LAPD want with that? Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all heard about that? If you heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about that, then give me a thumbs down. I'm going to show you guys this real quick. You guys see that? LAPD requested Ring camera footage of Black Lives Matter protests. Now, let me ask you guys this. Why would they be requesting this? What would they be doing with this? LAPD requested Ring footage of Black Lives Matter protest. Why would they do that? Look at this. Look at that. Right. If you guys agree with Days, they just knew a whole bunch of black people would have been found, but it was mostly white liberals. So, right. Who were they looking for? Now, I think that this will be a pretty interesting article to talk about. If you guys want me to do a stream on that article sometime, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. Because that's definitely interesting. Imagine you put those cameras in your home, and putting those cameras in your home, you give access to be unlimitedly spied on by the LAPD or whoever they decide to give the footage to. Just imagine. Let me ask you guys this question. What do you guys think that's being done with the phone, with the camera that's in your phone? What do you guys think is being done with any electronic device that's connected to the internet? And shout out to y'all for hitting that ×4 combo. People watching us through it. Yeah, if you guys agree with Ann 411, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Two Factor. That's how Aaron Hernandez got locked. Yeah, I agree, Days. They're using those to spy on you. Facts. This is an expansion of the stalker state, says Hamid Khan with Stop LAPD Spying, a grassroots community organization that works to expose and dismantle police surveillance. His concerns go beyond the invasion of privacy, and he says this technology will lead to more racial profiling and cause more harm to communities already impacted by the department. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why don't they use this type of technology at the southern border? I don't think that using this in LA, in the city, is an appropriate place to use it, but I bet you it would do some good at the southern border. Now, why don't they use this at the southern border? What do you guys think? Why don't they use this to stop undocumented bros from entering the country illegally? Somebody make it make sense. So now here it says Khan's concerns are based on recent history. In 2021, the New Orleans Police Department was sued for illegally stopping and using excessive force after falsely arresting Michael Celestine. Police were monitoring Celestine for a full 15 minutes beforehand using a surveillance camera from their real-time crime center. Officers watching the security camera believed a bulge in Celestine's jacket was a gun, and they sent police to detain him. Celeste's charges were later dropped, and his lawsuit was settled for $10,000 with the help of the American Civil Liberties Union of New Orleans. Where's the money coming from? LAPD told LA Public Press that outreach for this program began in June of 2023, and the formal outline of the department's plan for real-time crime center came to light in an October 2023 grant application to the state of California for the funds to combat organized retail crime. Now, we still see all of these organized retail crimes happening all the time. Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro? In late November, the department publicly proposed the program in their budget request for the 24-25 fiscal year to the Board of Police Commissioners. 7 people spoke out against the program at the meeting's public comment section. Despite opposition, the board approved the budget increase. Now, let me ask you guys this question. They had opposition. Why did they approve the budget increase? Why did they approve the budget increase? Somebody make that make sense. And make sure, if you're a member, drop those like enforcer emojis for DeAndre. Every time somebody enforces likes, y'all got to drop them like enforcement emojis. The $1 million budget request for the program is part of the department's overall $239 million budget increase. So now, mind you, they've increased the budget in that department $239 million. So they spent all that money on Medi-Cal, right? Medi-Cal for the migrants, and they spent all this money on surveillance in California. It's crazy how they say that they don't have any money, and then they just drop billions and billions of dollars arbitrarily. Isn't that crazy? Oh, shout out to Two Factor. You checked out that PDF that I put into the chat? Yeah. That organizational tree is crazy, isn't it? That organizational tree is wild. The $1 million budget request for the program is part of the department's overall $239 million budget increase, the largest increase in the department's history. That funding would cover the department's request for software, new computers, and training. FUSUS, a real-time surveillance software, would cost the city nearly $300,000 a year. If LA City Council and Mayor Bass approve the budget increase, the department plans to pilot the surveillance program in 3 patrol areas before eventually implementing it in all of LAPD's 21 community police stations and 4 major patrol bureaus. The department's $1 million budget request is just one potential source of funding for the program. A $15 million grant, which was given to the LAPD by the state of California and which focused on combating organized retail theft, would cover the bulk of the cost of creating and growing the department's real-time surveillance infrastructure. The grant funding would also cover the acquisition of 300 new automatic license plate reader cameras that actively collect photos of the public's license plates and allow police to track vehicle movements. How many people even knew something like that existed? If you guys knew something like that existed, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't know that that existed, give me a thumbs down. So now they have these automatic license plate readers. They call these ALPR cameras that they actively collect photos of the public's license plates and allow the police to track the vehicle's movement. So they tracking your cars, basically. LAPD's proposed Project Blue Light, named after a similar surveillance program created by the Detroit Police Department called Project Green Light, would focus largely on private or public partnerships with retail stores and would allow LAPD to access real-time feeds of people shopping and working. Businesses that sign up for the program would have to cover costs, which would vary depending on the number of cameras registered. The department did not give an exact number on the costs. It's unclear why LAPD is urgently trying to expand surveillance to combat shoplifting crimes when the commercial shoplifting rate has been going down without this stuff. So now they say that it's unclear. They say that it's unclear why the LAPD is urgently trying to expand surveillance to combat shoplifting crimes. Now, shout out to Two Factor, right? Two Factor says, remember, BLR, LA is gearing up for the Olympics in 2028. And if nothing happens, this plan will be implemented everywhere as a rousing success. So that could be one of the reasons. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jacoby. What's good with it? That could be one of the reasons. Governor Gavin Newsom created the grants to help communities stop organized, quote-unquote, smash and grab crime rings, but viral videos of shoplifting incidents aren't a reflection of reality or the data. So what that basically means is that what Fox News and what the New York Post repeatedly put in their media is not the reflection of the data. Okay, here's the data. Data analyzed by the Public Policy Institute of California found a 28.7% increase in shoplifting between 2021 and 2022. But even with that increase, the commercial shoplifting rate in California from 2015 to 2022 has been down 10%. The National Retailers Federation, one of the data sources the LAPD used in their grant, recently retracted its claim that nearly half of inventory losses were because of organized retail crime. Retailer data gathered in yearly surveys by the National Retail Federation indicates that inventory losses due to theft have remained at a steady 36% since 2015. It's also unclear that the proposed program would help with violent crime. So again, they don't have any information that says that these things would definitively improve situations that they're targeted to deal with. So now, again, I got to ask you guys a question. If there's no data that supports the effectiveness of implementing these things, then why implement them? What's the urgency? What's the reason to implement them? The LAPD's grant request cited the Detroit Police Department's claim that Project Greenlight led to a 23% decline in violent crime. However, a study by Michigan State University that the LAPD also cited wasn't confident in those numbers. In evaluating the effectiveness of Project Greenlight, the 2020 study said that the program's impact on crime was, quote unquote, difficult to interpret. The study continued and said there were no clear and consistent indications of crime declines associated with PGLD participation. Okay. The Department of Justice National Institute of Justice, which researches the effectiveness of crime reduction programs, gave Project Greenlight's a quote unquote no effects rating. So now, again, they've cited all of this in these studies, and they're citing this to try to get funding to implement this super surveillance. And they're not giving any information that really substantiates, allowing them to do this. And they're still pushing to do it. They're still pushing to do it. So make it make sense. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 21 people watching and we got 38 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 40, that'd be great. But stopping shoplifting isn't the only reason the department says they want to invest in this technology. Citing a declining number of sworn officers in the ranks, the department says that the Real-Time Crime Center will be a force multiplier, giving them real-time information that will help them know when and where to dedicate their finite resources. Okay. LA intends to have the program fully up and running for the upcoming global events in Los Angeles. So that's what Two Factor was saying. So shout out to Two Factor. Make sure you guys throw some flames and some radiation emoji in the chat for Two Factor, because Two Factor was on it. He called it. Next paragraph, here it is. Yep. Oop, there you go. Somebody said it. The Olympics. Yep. Yep. LAPD intends to have the program fully up and running for the upcoming global events in Los Angeles, including the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics, and says it will be using real-time footage for the safety and security of the public. No Olympics is a community group organization against the LA 28 Olympics, said in a statement that police in past Olympics have used a pretext of safety to test new surveillance programs on the public. The organization also says the growth and implementation of surveillance programs remain long after the events are over. The last time LA hosted the Olympics in, ironically, 1984, it led to the mass purchase of military equipment and the hiring of more cops that a spokesperson for the organization says can be traced directly to issues that we face as a city today. So what it looks like is history is starting to repeat itself over there in LA. It looks like history is starting to repeat itself over there in LA. Paris has already grown its surveillance capabilities in the lead up to next year's Olympics, citing the same concerns for safety and security as the reasons for implementing a new AI-powered mass surveillance system. Okay. So let me see this real quick. Yeah, this is wild. We can definitely check out some of this. I'm gonna have to schedule these other streams around some of the stuff that I already had planned. But yeah, the surveillance state stuff is wild. Paris had already grown its surveillance capabilities in the lead up to next year's Olympics, citing the same concerns for safety and security as the reason for implementing a new AI-powered mass surveillance system that can read suspicious body movements. This thing can read body movements. What does that mean? You do some suspicious body movements, this thing is going to pick up on it. Let me ask you guys this question. What are suspicious body movements? What is it? Breathing? What are suspicious body movements? 38 organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, signed an open letter saying the surveillance program in Paris violates international human rights laws and that the mere existence of untargeted, often called indiscriminate, algorithmic video surveillance in publicly accessible areas can have a chilling effect on fundamental freedoms. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Yeah, exactly. What's a suspicious body movement? Anybody that's watching this on the replay, if anybody has an idea of what a suspicious body movement is, make sure you let us know. Shout out to Days. Days says a black person walking or breathing or heart beating is a suspicious body movement. Facts. If you guys agree with Days, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Days, give me a thumbs down. The Board of Police Commissioners approved the department's budget request for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, and the budget will go to the LA City Council for approval and then the mayor. The $15 million organized retail theft prevention grant was approved this month. Ha! Shout out to Carlton. Carlton gonna get a kick off of the name of this mall. Topanga Mall would be the first location to receive the ALPRs and share its camera feeds with the LAPD in June 2024. The full rollout of the surveillance program is estimated to be completed by 2027. So how many people are thrilled and excited for this to happen? If you guys just cannot wait for this to happen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys say, you know, they could kind of chill out on that if they wanted to, give me a thumbs down. Now, check this out. You guys think that it's over? If you guys think that it's over, I hate to tell you this, but you're wrong. It's not over. Okay? Because we're going to talk about something else here. And this is good. I got to ask you guys stupid questions. Okay? Topanga from Boy Meets World. That's hilarious. When you call 911, who do you expect to answer the call? Do you expect police to come? Usually either the police or a fire department comes. Right? Usually that's what happens. The police or the fire department comes. What if somebody else came? Or what if you called 911 and nobody came? But there was a knock at the door. How would you feel about that? What if they started sending drones to answer 911 calls? How many people would be okay with a drone answering a 911 call? If you'd be happy with a drone answering a 911 call, give me a thumbs up. If you wouldn't, give me a thumbs down. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the police responding to a 911 call. Police are using more drones, raising concerns about surveillance and privacy. So now just imagine it's just going to be drones flying all over the place with cameras just recording what you're doing the entire time. This is the Marshall Project's Closing Argument newsletter, a weekly deep dive into key criminal justice issues. You guys should check this out. I check out the Marshall Report. They got a lot of interesting stuff that they talk about. Now, shout out to Carlton. Carlton said the drones can't delete me. Ask Nicolas Maduro about that. Ask Nicolas Maduro. Nicolas Maduro might disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? Big homie Maduro might disagree. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they can pick up on heat signatures. Facts. So now here it says, if you call 911 to report an emergency, the odds are increasing that a drone will be the first unit sent to respond. Now, what's the drone going to do if you call 911? What's a drone going to do for you if you call 911? Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with Patrick, those mofos weaponize everything. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Just this week, police departments in Salem, New Hampshire, Gresham, Oregon, Laverne, Alabama, announced the purchase of drones. More than 1,500 police departments across the country now use them, mostly for search and rescue, as well as to document crime scenes and chase suspects. According to a February report in the MIT Technology Review, some agencies, like the New York Police Department, are experimenting with other uses, like public safety warnings during emergencies. It's a new space where regulations and safeguards appear to be lagging behind adoption. The drones U.S. police are using are much more like the customer grade type you might find at a big box store than a multi-million-dollar higher tech military drone. Generally, police drones don't carry weapons and are used primarily for video surveillance. It is possible for small drones to deliver chemical irritants like tear gas. However, a technology that police in Israel have used against Palestine. Okay. So now here's a question for you guys. Do you guys remember when they sent that machine after that black man? I believe it was in Texas with the bomb on it. If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't remember that, give me a thumbs down. Right, exactly. Shout out to Jacoby. Jacoby says Grism Fleece doesn't have a large police department. Right. So you got to ask yourself the question, well, then why would they get these things? Why would they get these things? What's the real plan behind getting all this stuff? The drone, perhaps the most well-known police drone program in the country is run by the Chula Vista Department in Southern California, where it began its drone as first responder efforts in 2018. So this police department here called Chula Vista has drones as first responders. How many people knew about that? If you guys knew about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't know about that, give me a thumbs down. Look at this. Look at this. Watch this. Look at this. California City that sends a drone almost every time police are dispatched on a 911 call. There go that drone right there. Chula Vista, California is the name of the city. What is a drone supposed to do? You gonna put your credit card number in there or what? So you guys are making me where we're gonna have a long stream about this stuff with these older articles, because you can't count on the mainstream media to talk about this kind of stuff. I don't know why. Actually, I do. I'm gonna act like I don't to drive engagement. You know what I'm saying? But I think we all know why the mainstream media doesn't talk about this kind of stuff. Let me ask you guys this question. Out of all the people that live in these areas, how many people, the residents of these places, do you all think had a say in implementing this stuff? How many residents had a say in implementing these kind of things? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Ann. Ann says this is how they sneak the stuff in, put it into articles that many won't see. Fact, that's why you got to be subscribed to a YouTube channel like mine, where we talk about this stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what you got to do. Well, you see what happens when people have encounters with police dogs and police dogs get injured. They treat the police dog like a police officer, like you harmed a person. They probably gonna treat the drones the same way. You knock a screw or you knock a bolt off of one of these drones, that's assaulting a police officer. That's assaulting a police officer. That's probably how they'd be looking at it. Now, mind you, these robots are going to have implicit bias. We already went over that about the facial recognition issues. These robots are probably going to be equipped with facial recognition, the same facial recognition that's faulty, that's already indiscriminately locking people up. Now, do y'all think that Karen Bass will approve of all of this stuff for California? If you guys think that they'll approve of all of this stuff for California, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. Ann says yes. If you guys agree with her, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with her, give me a thumbs down. When 911 calls come in, the department routinely sends a drone first to assess what kind of human police response is necessary, if any. Most police drones are not used as first responders. It's worth mentioning, but the approach is growing in popularity. In addition, the federal regulatory hurdles that limit such programs are likely to loosen in the near future. According to data from the Chula Vista Police Department, it has sent drones to more than 16,000 calls in totals with an average response time of under 2 minutes. For reference, average response time using officers exceed 20 minutes in 14 of 15 other departments, included in a review by data analyst Jeff Asher earlier this year. Now, one of the reasons for that is probably because the drones don't have to use the traffic system. The drones can just fly through and take alternative routes. So that's probably one of the reasons why the drones get there faster. They don't have the hurdles of having to deal with a crowded freeway. They don't have to deal with traffic lights. You know what I'm saying? While drones don't have the same capabilities as officers, the Chula Vista Department and drone manufacturers say that their use can function as a de-escalation tactic. I don't know if a robot will really de-escalate a situation. I think that might actually freak people out and cause actual excitable delirium, not the fake kind that they use as a license to delete people. In one frequently cited example, 911 received a call about a man waving around a gun in front of a taco restaurant. A Chula Vista police drone arrived in 84 seconds, and before officers could make it onto the scene, the operator used the drone video to determine that the gun was actually a cigarette lighter. Now, how can they use the drone to figure that out, but they can't figure out people's faces, and then they end up getting locked up? Make that make sense. If they'd rushed into that with limited information about the call and he'd spun around because he's scared of the cops and points the lighter at their general direction, we could see how easy that would become a tragedy, a department official told San Diego Union Tribune in 2020. Supporters also note that the faster drone response times can aid investigations and see the technology as a quote-unquote force multiplier that can help police addressing staffing shortages and respond to potentially dangerous scenes without putting a human officer in danger. Civil liberties advocates are less enchanted. In a report published on Thursday, American Civil Liberties Union senior policy analyst Jay Stanley worries that these kinds of drone programs may normalize usage and usher in an era of pervasive, suspicionless mass aerial surveillance. I think it's safe to say that already exists. That already exists. You guys remember Ice Cube had that song called Ghetto Bird? That's what he was talking about. That's what Ice Cube was talking about in that song. Eye in the sky policing is what they call this. The worry is that it's going to usher in an era of surveillance state. Carlton Waste, shout out to Carlton Waste, said Agenda 2030 would be zero crime and world peace. Now, it would be zero crime detected by the robots like the drones, but there'd be other crimes taking place at higher levels that nobody would know about, except for the people committing them or the people getting them committed against them. And that would be those crimes by the technocracy oligarchs that are running the surveillance technology, who by that time will probably be the point where the government and corporations are completely indiscriminate from each other. And then countries will basically be not in the way that they are now, but they'll actually be companies. The CEO of a company will actually be, for all intents and purposes, the monarch of a given region of the world. And everybody will be plugged into the metaverse, so they won't think about it. And then all the people with common sense will be called crazy and locked up. And the people who are crazy and just think that the government cares about them will be the people that thrive in the world. So now here it says he notes far more invasive turns that police drone usage could take, including warrantless surveillance of specific people, crime hotspots, or even whole neighborhoods or cities. Stanley wonders if drone usage won't just become another weapon in the war on drugs and over policing and the targeting of Black, low income, and other vulnerable communities, and otherwise amplify the problems with the deeply broken U.S. criminal legal system. People think that the way to deal with this stuff is to not talk about it. But then when you do talk about it, people want to make sure that everybody knows how much they know about it. Now, here goes my question. When has going about things like that ever helped? And what has that ever helped? You know what I'm saying? Many of the cities using drones in policing are doing so from so-called real-time crime centers, which are growing in popularity as well. These units function as centralized hubs to connect the various bits of surveillance and data that police collect from things like stationary cameras, drones, license plate readers, and technology that listens for possible gunshots. Now, what is that technology that listens for possible gunshots? Shot spotter, right? Now they got shots. Now we got to ask this question about Shot Spotter because they got Shot Spotter in Chicago. So now why is it that when the migrant crimes occur, Shot Spotter just seems to never be able to pick up any data about migrant crimes? When is the last time you heard about a migrant having a bad run-in with artificial intelligence? When's the last time anybody heard about anything like that? Anybody heard anything like that? If you guys heard anything like that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't heard anything like that, then give me a thumbs down. So we have to really harp on these inconsistencies. We got to really harp on these inconsistencies. You know what I'm saying? Many of the cities using drones and policing are doing so from so-called real-time crime centers, which are growing in popularity as well. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What is a real-time crime center? What is a real-time crime center? These units function as centralized hubs to connect the various bits of surveillance and data that police collect from things like stationary cameras, drones, license plate readers, and technology that listens for possible gunshots. Some centers can even integrate police body cameras and video from Ring doorbells at the homes of people who show up, who sign up. Just what kind of transparency the public has into the kind of data these police efforts collect is still playing out. This week, a California appeals court agreed to hear a case brought by a journalist who filed a public records request for footage from the Chula Vista drone program. Art Castaneras, publisher of La Prensa San Diego, asked for a month of video to independently verify police officials' assurances that they do not use the drones to spy on residents. The department denied his request, arguing that the video is investigative in nature and not subject to public records laws. The department does not make drone flight path data public, along with the reason for the 911 calls that initiated the investigation. So then how is there any transparency? Where's the transparency there? So the police are collecting all this data, but nobody's going to know about it. Where's the transparency then? See, this is what I'm telling you guys. If you watch all of these videos, if you watch all of the videos on the LAWZ series, you will see that there's only an illusion of attempted improved police transparency. What the actual goal is for the police to be able to obtain as much information as they can get, and for them to be able to have access to your information indiscriminately. But when it comes to them releasing information, we're going to hold on to that information because you don't need to know how we got it. You don't need to know why we got it. And you don't need to know what we got, because we need to have it to be able to have the advantage over you, not the other way around. Over the past week, flights have been launched for reported robberies, domestic disturbances, and assault, but also public indecency, welfare checks, and suspicious circumstances. All right. Yeah, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's the police responding to a 911 call. Again, how many people are thrilled about that? So now we're going to talk about ShotSpotter. Even though we've talked about ShotSpotter before. When it comes to AI, it's going out here with AI. But the mainstream media thinks that Twitter and Taylor Swift are the biggest issues that validate an issue with artificial intelligence. There's all type of things that validate issues with artificial intelligence. Tech like ShotSpotter thrives despite public pushback. Why? If the public is pushing back on this stuff and they say that they don't like it, then how is it thriving? They probably can, and they probably got X-ray vision. Police around the country have investigated in the gunshot detection system using C-19 relief dollars. They're using C-19 relief dollars for everything. You guys notice that? But yet and still, these organizations like the police are not getting in trouble for the PPP loan scams. But these public organizations are still using COVID relief funds. How many of y'all are still using your COVID relief funds? If you're still using COVID relief funds, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, then give me a thumbs down. Look at this. That's the command center. Google Maps on steroids. Let me ask you guys this question. Do you guys think that these surveillance systems can pick up Find My iPhone? Can they track your phone if you have a Google phone? Do you guys think that they watch you even when they're not supposed to? Last month, the gunshot detection technology provider ShotSpotter changed its name to Sound Thinking. Why do you guys think that? Because of all the bad press? The company wanted to signal its new, more diverse offering of products, which it says can help police search and manage large amounts of data. As public safety landscape has evolved, we've evolved with it, CEO Ralph Clark said in a press release about the name change. It's a familiar script for companies that market their products to the criminal justice system. Core Civic, which runs prisons and immigration detention facilities under government contracts, was once Corrections Corporation of America. How many people knew about that? Now, we definitely got to look into this company here. Private prisons. This is a human body capital business. Now, here go my question for you guys. How many politicians do you all think are invested in these private prisons? What do you guys think? What politicians do you all feel, or do you all believe, or do you all know are invested in private prisons? And why are they invested in private prisons? Yeah, I got to agree. If you guys agree with Carlton, this is alarming. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, I agree. This is alarming. I didn't mean to put that Streamelements link up there, but if y'all want to run me some ducats, I wouldn't be mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might get another video tonight if y'all do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might. I don't sign my name on no contracts. I just say you might, and then you got to roll the dice and see what happened. I don't commit. You know what I'm saying? I don't commit. I let it be known I don't commit. You know what I'm saying? It happened, it happened. If it don't, it don't. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, it'll be appreciated. That's the best I can do. Remember Martin in Blue Streak? Tell you that's the best I can do. Best I can do. That's the best I can do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're going to start this paragraph over again. It's a familiar script for companies that market their products to the criminal justice system. Core Civic, which runs prison and immigration detention facilities under government contracts, which is important, was once Corrections Corporation of America. Now, the firm brands itself as Government Solutions Company. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Immigrant detention centers. This company probably making a whole lot of money since the migrant crisis start going wild. Shamika Gray said Michael Jordan owns a prison too. I would own a prison too, but my prison would be specially for meth users and heroin users. That would be what my prison specialized in, housing meth and heroin users. I wouldn't really be interested in other prisoners. Now, people wouldn't like that, which would be the whole point. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? See, if we had real politicians that actually wanted to go heads up, they would do stuff like that. My prison that I want to own will specialize in heroin users, meth users, and white-collar crime. I'll take all those. And we can store them in my prison like a sardine can. And I'll make sure that the prison just barely passes inspection each time. Just barely, though. It's not going to be like the 5-star prison facility. It's going to barely pass. Bare minimum on everything. Shout out to Days. Days said he would have an Arkham City type prison. My prison, you gonna know you in prison. And that's why I want the type of prisoners that I want. My prison will be a specialty prison. Shout out to Wayne. What's good with it? Yeah, it wouldn't be the Roosevelt Hotel. Facts. So now here it says the firm brands itself as a quote unquote government solutions company. And its about page doesn't mention the word prison. In 2017, Taser International rebranded itself as Axon, switching from a name that referenced stun guns to one that alludes to the company's body cam business. At the time, CEO Rick Smith told Reuters that the Axon brand was less polarizing. ShotSpotter changed its name in April, shortly after the company's stock lost about a third of its value following Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's election. Johnson promised to end the city's deal with the company as part of his public safety plan. The contract, one of Sound Thinking's largest, brings in $8 million in revenue each year, according to the firm. Last fall, outgoing Mayor Lori Lightfoot extended the contract into 2024. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What kind of relationship do you all think Lori Lightfoot has with the ShotSpotter company? Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all think that Brandon Johnson cut the ties with ShotSpotter so that he could create ties with some of these migrant shelter companies. Shout out to Ty. What's good with it, bro? How do you see what these politicians have investments in, or the relationship between these politicians and some of these companies? Where do you get that information from? Because I'm going to tell you guys something. That information is not always easily accessible. Shout out to Tia. She says they supported her campaign. So now here it says the company says its gunshot detection system uses acoustic sensors to locate possible gunfire sounds. An algorithm classifies the type of sound, and company workers review the audio before an alert is sent to police. Chicago's current contract for ShotSpotter started in 2018 and has drawn persistent criticism. In 2021, the city's inspector general found that in about 90% of the incidents where police responded to ShotSpotter alerts, officers didn't classify it as a gun crime. 90%. That is horrible. In 2021, the city's inspector general found that in about 90% of the incidents where police responded to ShotSpotter alerts, the officers didn't classify it as a gun crime. So that means only 10% of the time it was an actual gunshot issue. Why are they investing all this money into this stuff if it don't work? Why would they continue investing money into this stuff knowing that it don't work? Make it make sense. Last summer, a lawsuit against the cities alleged that the police arrested two men, largely based on ShotSpotter's unreliable alerts. The complaint said one of the men spent months in jail before his case was dismissed. The suit, which did not name ShotSpotter as a defendant, seeks class action lawsuit for city residents who are stopped based on the company's technology. Chicago police have credited ShotSpotter's detection with faster officer response to shooting, and officials elsewhere who support the system point to incidents where alerts led them to gunshot victims, despite the fact that it was only 10%. It was only 10%. Chicago police have credited ShotSpotter's detection with faster officer response to shooting, and officials elsewhere who support the system point to incidents where alerts led them to gunshot victims. The company told the Associated Press last year that the evidence it collects, along with its expert witnesses, have been admitted in 200 court cases in 20 states and survived dozens of evidentiary challenges. Some community members are also receptive to any tool that promises to help reduce persistent gun violence. The technology has faced controversies in other cities too. In Seattle, a city council member cited the Chicago Inspector General report in deciding against funding ShotSpotter there. Community organizations in San Diego have delayed the city's use of the system and championed an ordinance that increased oversight of gunshot detectors and other technologies like video cameras, facial recognition, and license plate readers. In Houston, the city council voted to pay for ShotSpotter after funding mix-up, but organizers question whether the technology is the best use of public resources. Even as cities like Seattle are pulling back from ShotSpotter, a growing number of locations have adopted the technology. In annual reports, the company said it had customers in 88 cities at the end of 2017 and over 151 cities at the end of last year. So despite the fact that this stuff is not really giving a justification of why people should invest in it, most of these cities continue to invest in it. Now, again, here's the interesting thing. These cities that are investing in this are mostly sanctuary cities, mostly liberal cities. They have all of this shot spotter technology, all of these cameras, but they can't get a handle on migrant crime. Do you guys think that that could be possibly because this technology wasn't installed to surveil the migrants? This technology was installed to surveil other entities. Who are those other entities? Even as cities like Seattle are pulling back from ShotSpotter, a growing number of locations have adopted the technology. In annual reports, the company said it had customers in 88 cities at the end of 2017. 88 in 2017. Then over 151 at the end of 2023. Earlier this month on Long Island, New York, Suffolk County held a meeting in advance of rolling out the technology, even after it was removed in 2019. This week, Cleveland's mayor announced that the city would expand ShotSpotter to all of its police districts. In many cases, SoundThinking's recent growth is fueled by money from the C-19 relief stimulus passed in 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act. Syracuse, New York, Macon-Bibb County, Georgia, and Toledo, Ohio all used funds categorized under community violence intervention for ShotSpotter. The company encouraged law enforcement agencies to use the funds for ShotSpotter. Of course they did. Of course they did. Other cities have used pandemic relief funds for technologies that could present opportunities for companies like SoundThinking. St. Louis and Mesa, Arizona used Rescue Act funds towards real-time crime centers. SoundThinking touts its ability to integrate ShotSpotter alerts into these kinds of centers, as well as the way its software products can be used to manage and make decisions with the data aggregated by the police. In the absence of federal funding or money from local budgets, police foundations have helped departments pay for technologies like gunshot detection. Chicago's Police Foundation paid for mobile phones, allowing police to receive ShotSpotter alerts. Such foundations also helped pay for initial installations of technology in Atlanta and in Cleveland. So now my question for you guys is, what's the future looking like? What's the future looking like? With all of these robotics? Now check this out. There's a video from Atlanta News First. Atlanta News First is a channel that has 432 views. Or it has 266,000 subs. This video right here has 432 views. The video itself, as far as analytics goes, only has 7 likes. We're going to take a look at this video. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys take a moment, hit that bell. And if you guys have not shared the stream to your social media, please take a moment, share the stream to your social media. Shout out to Beans and Cornbread. That sounds good, as a matter of fact. Now, mind you, this video here is from 8 months ago.
Welcome to Behind the Investigation. I'm Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe with Atlanta News First, and I'm joined now by Sierra Cummings, our Murrow-winning investigative reporter with Atlanta News First. Good to have you here, Sierra.
Good to be here.
And today we're talking about facial recognition, and more importantly, the dangers or problems with facial recognition, because essentially this technology that allows police to potentially identify suspects can actually wrongfully identify suspects. Is that right?
That's exactly right. This is one of those unexpected stories for me. It hadn't really been on my radar, but we learned one of our local police agencies here at the time last year was considering getting this technology, and it seemed to be quite a lot of discussion on social media. So back then we learned about it in the summer of 2022. Fast forward to this year, we've got some data, we've got some interesting victims and how using this technology could create racial disparities in arrests. A really interesting story. We follow 3 men who were arrested for crimes they didn't commit.
How many people heard about this? If you guys heard about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this, then give me a thumbs down.
But even more, what's more shocking is that they weren't even in the areas, the cities, the states that they were accused of being in. It's a great story, and we hope you learn something from it.
Well, let's take a look, and on the backside, we'll talk about it. Absolutely.
Let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to programming these artificial intelligences and the implicit biases that these things expose, does this also expose an issue with white people? Does this correlate to having to ask the question, is it possible for white people to be unbiased? Is that a question that we have to ask? So with that question having to come up, then we also have to ask the question, how safe is it to use any type of technology that comes from the population at large? Because if you ask me, this has exposed these folks. This has also exposed the coons. The coons sit there and say that WS doesn't exist. Well, Thomas Sowell, if WS doesn't exist, why can't WS make artificial intelligence that are not biased? The computer should already auto-regulate and eliminate biases. But instead, the computer systems that they create compile onto biases. So why is that? Shout out to Patrick Taylor. And we went over that earlier, right? If black people programmed AI, it would be fair. I agree. So now we got to ask ourselves the question, why do people choose not to program AI? Why do people choose not to start AI programs? There is every reason to be heavily involved and invested in AI, but yet and still, those reasons do not seem to be enough to drive people into that direction. What people tend to do is not deal with AI and then say, why is AI doing this to us? So what we got to figure out is, why is that what goes on? Instead of, why aren't people creating AI to be able to combat some of this nonsense that this AI is doing? We got to figure out the reasons why people avoid AI. If machine learning works, another reason that might cause artificial intelligence to be implicitly biased is the lack of involvement and interaction with black people. Because if machine learning works the way that it says that it works, it learns based off of interactions. So if it has less interactions because people are shying away from it and turning their head away from it, then that means it's going to have less exposures and less ability to be able to learn and understand. So it's going to be always working with a limited database if people don't turn around eye to eye and confront the problem. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Absolutely fascinating, Sierra. And these racial disparities, I mean, it's obviously far more than would be possible with chance, especially when we're talking about these wide disparities in percentages. So essentially, the technology becomes biased because of the input. There's an old saying in computers, GIGO, garbage.
Neely Fuller Jr. talked about this, beans and cornbread. Have you ever seen that there's a channel on YouTube called Hip Hop Cartoons? This dude named Carlito runs it. there's a video on there that's called "What Are the WS Doing Today?" And Neely Fuller Jr. predicted all of this. Now, here's the thing. The technology is already proliferating, is already becoming mainstream. Now, here's the thing. We can make our own artificial intelligence. We can compete with these companies if people chose to do that. But people are not choosing to do that. What people are choosing to do is to continue to put millions of dollars into these companies, buy these products, and not go into AI as a choice of education specialty. Choices come with prices. You know what I'm saying? Choices come with prices. Shout out to CM Jones for subscribing. Make sure you guys show CM Jones some love. Throw some radiation emoji and some flames in the chat for CM Jones. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you take a moment and subscribe. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, take a moment and hit the bell. Also, if you haven't shared the stream, please share the stream to your social media.
In, garbage out. If you put, the wrong sort of prompts in, you're going to get wrong results. Does that appear to be what happened here?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Sean said it yesterday after.
Oh yeah, I agree.
This story on air.
I agree with you, Tia. If you guys, I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Tia, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Anybody that's been watching my content for a long time will tell you that I've been advocating for that for a long time, despite some people, advising people to not make content about this kind of stuff and how does this issue affect us and all of that. I mean, maybe that's why nobody knows that this issue affects us, because on a channel with 266,000 subs, only 470 people watch this video and it only has 7 likes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta agree. 80-20 principle. Facts, Days. 13% of us should be in 50% of the AI development. And as a matter of fact, to make it where it's not just competitive, to make it to where we're dominating, which is what we need to be able to do, we should maintain at the very least 50% and target 75. And I agree 100% to you. These AI companies are startups funded by think tanks. They're also funded by think tanks, the same think tanks that can't define the word woke when Brianna Joy Gray asks them to on the Hill. You know what I'm saying?
Systems are created by humans, and we all have unconscious or subconscious bias. So it's not surprising.
We don't all have unconscious and subconscious bias. That's not true. That is not true. We all have a subconscious and unconscious bias is not true. That is a white narrative that's been created to take the focus away from that specific issue that white people have. Implicit bias is a white people issue. There's massive amounts of evidence that shows that. All of the books that they wrote during the colonial periods, the bell curve, the way that they behave today, every country that Europe came in contact with, they created some type of race-based hierarchy. No one, the race-based obsession, no one else has done that kind of stuff except for European people. No one else has done that. Most people get into wars over land disputes and commerce disputes. Not them. Not them. So you have to ask yourself that you have to ask the question. When you look at black police officers, do black police officers display implicit bias towards white suspects? Let me know in the comment section. White people are outraged that Ashley Babbitt got shot on January 6th. Name some other situations where white people have been deleted or harmed by a black police officer. When there's a white kid that goes to an inner city school, show me the black teacher that's being a Karen to the white kid. When white people move into a black neighborhood, show me all of the cases of black people burning BLM signs and Mohammed Speaks newspapers in their front yards to run them out of the town. Show me these instances of this. One of the issues, if you ask me, that we have as far as dealing with these type of situations is that we don't have implicit bias. Despite the fact that I'm not a segregationist, you know what I'm saying? I have optimism and hope that people could live together. Right now, the evidence does not show that people, particularly some people, have evolved to that point. So in order to survive, you have to evolve. And if you are dealing with people that have an implicit bias and they're weaponizing that implicit bias as a societal advantage, you have to reciprocate that in order to survive. I think that one of the things that has hindered us from not being able to deal with these situations is because instead of keeping our expectations for ourselves, we extend expectations to other people of things that they may not even be capable of. It's not proven that these people are capable of not seeing the world in a biased way. So why are we expecting them to? We know that we see the world in an unbiased way. But just because we can do something, that don't mean that everybody else can. We got to stop giving everybody else our grace and only give ourselves our grace. Now, if somebody proves this, okay, they've proven it. But as of right now, the collective evidence doesn't suggest that. So if the collective evidence doesn't suggest that, then you have to operate based on what the collective evidence shows. The collective evidence shows that this is a problem specific to white people. It's not acknowledged as a problem specific to white people because they run all of the mainstream media. So anything that's a problem for white people because they believe that they're superior, then it must be a problem and amplified in everybody else. And we're going to use all of our infrastructure apparatus to bombard people with that idea as many times as we possibly can until they believe it. We don't have implicit bias. There's no evidence of us having implicit bias. We don't even get a chance to operate in a space where we would even be able to display implicit bias. I feel bad for this woman because she compiled a really good news report, but she probably got to say stuff like that to keep her job. You know what I'm saying? Despite the fact that she put together a high quality, underappreciated news report, because this is definitely quality work. Sad that it didn't reap the rewards that it should have, but to maintain her job, the quality of the work is not going to carry. When you're working for one of these type of companies, you also got to say what they want you to say. You know what I'm saying? Which is sad. It's one of the reasons why we got to, you know what I'm saying? She need to put this report together and give it to Phil Scott or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Give it to TD.
And to really illustrate the trends, but to know that these systems have some kind of racial bias embedded on the front end, as the expert said, it's not shocking to quite a few people. I do want to note, though, we were able to confirm that tech company involved in the local Atlanta arrest, and a spokesperson told me they actually encourage law enforcement to just consider results as a tip or an anonymous lead, something that they have to vet. But the issue here is that we found a lot of law enforcement agencies around the country that are using this. They often don't have a policy, or the policy they have doesn't really have clearly defined standards. So that's when it gets really.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Why do you think that they don't have policies, and why do the policies that they do have not have clearly defined standards? Do you guys think that's so that they can have a legal wormhole, a legal wiggle room to be able to get out of any type of situation that they might be able to get in, that they might be able to be in?
Tricky, and that's when it kind of murkies the water of trust in policing.
Well, let's take a look then at the second part of your report, which covers those policies or lack thereof in local police departments. Let's take a look.
Georgia, New Jersey, Michigan, cases divided by hundreds of miles, cases threaded by a simple connection. Facial recognition technology was used to wrongfully link a black male to a crime he did not commit. FRT is software that analyzes facial features, comparing one image to another. November 2022, DeKalb police arrest Randall Reed in Atlanta.
You got 2 theft warrants. They're both in Louisiana.
The 28-year-old was wanted out of Jefferson Parish and Baton Rouge for stealing purses, except he'd never even been.
Hold on real quick. Let me see. I wonder if they hold on real quick. Now, you see, wait a minute. This is weird. Now they already played this part, but it looks like they got okay, yeah, hold on. It looks like they accidentally edited this part twice or something. So hold on. So I think we got to go right here. Let me see.
We found in the case where Randall Reed was arrested in Atlanta for theft charges, neither Louisiana law enforcement agency followed a facial recognition policy because neither had one on record.
Just 2 people that look alike. That is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Cobb County Chief.
And that's subjective if they even look alike. Just because that guy said that they look alike doesn't mean that they actually looked alike. You know what I'm saying? Just because one of these police officers say, "Oh, those 2 look alike," that's not a fact. That's a subjective interpretation.
Stuart Van Hooser just implemented the program, but also a 6-page policy. Only 9 staff out of 1,000 are authorized to use it.
2 reasons for that. Number 1, the training is easier to do with a small number of people. And number 2, accountability.
Accountability starting with how they match photos.
It is not a match, and that's not the terminology we use. To us, it's a lead.
While some departments consider results a match, Cobb County Police Captain Darren Hull argues it should be treated simply as a tip, something officers must vet.
This technology is moving forward.
Based on Cobb's regulations, specialists must follow 6 steps. Software-based comparison first.
So see, now this is what I was saying, right? You guys remember I had said this? It does not matter what the AI does. It is ultimately on the human police officer. It is ultimately on the human police officer. It's ultimately on the human judge. AI failures are not AI's responsibility. AI's failures are humans' responsibilities. AI, quote unquote, doesn't fail. AI is simply an assistant at this point in history, at this point in the current world. AI is not doing the thinking. It's gathering data and organizing the data. That's it. The human is supposed to do the ultimate check and verification. And in every one of these instances, the human failed. So we could actually go back through this entire report and remove all of the instances of AI misidentifying somebody, and we'll still find something faulty that went on in that police department that led to these inappropriate police interactions and arrests.
Human-based comparisons next, essentially having investigators study the images with their own eyes. Peer review by supervisors. Investigation to search for corroborating evidence. Back to a supervisor once again. Only then can it go before a judge or a warrant, in which detectives also disclose to the judge they use facial recognition.
I would use facial recognition with any criminal act because I trust it. I don't trust it to make a case for me. I trust it to open doors of investigations for us.
It's fascinating, again, to see how they're using it in Cobb County. And the idea is to have checks and balances and to only use the technology, as they said, as sort of a lead rather than as some sort of you know, this is the guy.
Yeah, it's important because, again, these policies are kind of hit or miss. You saw in some of these cases here, they didn't have the policy, or what existed wasn't really thorough. So all of the men in this story who were wrongfully accused, wrongfully arrested, and spent days in jail, they want to see facial recognition technology banned. I do think that's unlikely, just my opinion. It's an emerging technology. We are growing as a nation, as really across the globe, like all the things that we use to kind of help with policing, to kind of help with any kind of organization or company. So the reality of it being banned, I don't know how likely that is, but the point that they're trying to make is, right now for them, it feels just unready. If you can't put a policy in place at the very least locally at a police agency, if you can't put one in place at the state level, and if there isn't one at the federal level, maybe let's hold off on it. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these agencies respond to this. Obviously, we've got Cobb County here. They had their 3-year contract approved at the end of December of last year. They did not start using the technology until they created this policy. As I mentioned, there a 6-page policy. And the interesting nugget here is that when I talked to the Chief Stuart Van Hooser, he said, well, we looked at cases around the country that were already publicly out there and what went wrong, what could have been done better. And so then we went to the drawing board. We're like, okay, what should we put in our policy? And so that started with who's allowed to use this. Not everyone in the agency can. 9 of the 1,000 people, and then plenty other steps, as I mentioned there, investigating, corroborating evidence.
You know, there are so many people who've been wrongfully convicted long before this technology because they quote unquote fit the description. There's so many stories.
Now now he's talking about fitting the description. Let's actually talk about that. Let me ask you guys this question. When somebody says, quote unquote, fit the description, when law enforcement is throwing that around, quote unquote, fit the description, who are they talking about? And what are they talking about? What does that mean? What does that mean when somebody says, quote unquote, fit the description? What does that mean? We all know what that means. Most cases when somebody uses that terminology, quote unquote, fit the description, that fit the description terminology, for the most part, is only used when talking about a specific demographic of suspects. What demographic of suspects is that? Let me know in the comment section.
Of implicit bias that, you know, you match the description and the description is simply skin color and a hoodie. And we've seen that time and time again. And then, of course, later exonerated. And, you know, in our justice system, you have a right to face your accuser. But if your accuser is a computer algorithm, how do you face your accuser? And while this technology is incredibly powerful,
you face your accuser by looking at the evidence that was collected by the police department, not just the analysis by the AI. And you also compare it with verifiable evidence that's provided by the defense and the prosecutor and compare them against each other, not just take the word of the AI. All of these instances took place because these people just took the word of the AI. They didn't do their jobs. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. All of these instances occurred because there was no check and balance where the human assessed the data and compared it with actual evidence that the AI provided. That's on the person. That's on the police officer. That's on the judge. That is solely the person's fault. That is not the AI's fault at all. The AI is not there to be a substitute brain for the person. That's not what that's there for. It's there to be an assistant.
and we want law enforcement to have these tools, they have to be used responsibly, don't they?
They have to be. I mean, to the point that you're making, a really good section of the story is when we show the...
What this is not AI failure. This is something that we've been dealing with the entire time. Lazy policing. This is lazy policing. And what they're doing when it comes to talking about artificial intelligence, yes, artificial intelligence has bias, but if the humans were doing the job, the humans would even out the bias. This is lazy policing. And guess what? Even if they eliminate AI, the lazy policing will still be there. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Two Factor. Two Factor says, in heavily segregated native South African enclaves where the population is largely homogenous, they have AI-powered drones flying all over the place. I believe it. I believe it.
image of Niger Parks himself, his true picture, and then the driver's license of the actual suspect who had a fake ID. And you compare those images, and depending on who I asked, I talked to my sisters, I talked to my mom, I talked to friends, and depending on who I asked, they would say, oh, those people look exactly alike. And sometimes it's not anything to do with implicit bias. It really is just the eyes, you know, like some people see one thing, some see another. And so it's not just enough to say, hey, two people look alike.
Yeah, but the problem is listen, sweetheart. The problem is that your sample that you use for your experiment is flawed. Now, what she just named is that she named all black people, right? I'm assuming. You never can tell who's mixed nowadays, but I'm assuming because she said her mother, her sister, you know what I'm saying, her friends. I'm assuming probably majority of her friends are black. You know what I'm saying. Also, in addition to the sample that she used, those people are not law enforcement officers. Most law enforcement officers are white racists. That's a very different sample size, and they're looking for similarities for different reasons. The people that she showed the picture to are not looking for similarities because they're looking to close a case. They're just looking at the picture for comparative purposes. These people are. And on top of it, they're racist. You know what I'm saying?
Let's move forward with that. Or two people look alike to me, let's move forward with that. You need to have, as you mentioned, checks and balances. So maybe that's the starting point. Hey, these two people look alike.
And again, I'm not saying this to go in on this journalist or anything like that, because truth be told, I think that she did a great job with this report. This is one of the most thorough reports that I've ever seen come out of local news about artificial intelligence. I'm just saying my opinion. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
The system, the computer system, says they look alike, but what else can we find along the way to either disprove or prove that this is our suspect? And sometimes it's also as simple as an alibi. Just asking questions. Were there witnesses around?
Right.
What do these witnesses say? Sometimes we got to move beyond the technology.
But should I have to prove myself innocent? I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty, not guilty till proven innocent. And these men that you profiled were profiled by the system. And
white people are innocent until proven guilty. Society has been set up so that black people, mainly black men, are guilty until proven innocent. And then even if they're proven innocent, the court system still treats them guilty, like Jonathan Majors. How do you sit there and ignore that when you're somebody that benefits from that system? That system is also reflected in the statistics that were provided earlier when it showed that when using the artificial intelligence, it decreases the arrest rate of white people. Somebody make that make sense.
they had to prove themselves innocent, which is upside down. Another important point is the standard of proof. So I'm not a lawyer, but we deal a lot with the law. The lowest standard of proof is reasonable suspicion. That's, more than a gut feeling, something an officer can articulate. That's usually what's used as the standard of proof.
Let me ask you guys this question. What was the reasonable suspicion when it came to Elijah McClain? It's perfectly acceptable in today's society for white people to cite skin color of a black person as reasonable suspicion. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. That is what they consider as reasonable suspicion. I was reasonably suspicious. You know what I'm saying? I know what my neighborhood looks like, and there was a black person walking around. How many times have you guys heard that literally cited? As if people don't know what that dog whistle means. Now, if black people had implicit bias, right? And again, I don't want to sound like I'm victim shaming, but this is what I'm saying. I want people to pay attention to what I'm saying. See how white people justify harassing a black person, quote unquote, who's quote unquote out of place. I know what my neighborhood looks like, and this person isn't from here. If those black people in Buffalo had did that with that white boy, Peyton Gendron, a few more of them might still be alive. You know what I'm saying? if there was some black Karens that actually worked like how white Karens work and started harassing Peyton Gendron till he got up out of there because he was white and in the wrong neighborhood, that might have saved some lives up there in Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't have implicit bias, you don't act like that. You don't act like a uncivilized, tribalistic weirdo. You say, oh, you're here to shop. That's it. Nobody harassed Peyton Gendron. Nobody looked at him crazy because he was white. Nobody did none of that. And he was the biggest threat that was there. Yeah, shout out to Days. I still remember the guy on the news. I wanted him to show me he's a genius. Yeah. See, this is what I'm saying. You got to, all of this morality and moral code and all of this stuff, that stuff would get you killed. You know what I'm saying? This is the real world, man. That stuff, that'll get you killed. It got people killed up there in Buffalo. You know what I'm saying?
Proof for a stop. The next level is the standard of proof for an arrest, which is probable cause. And then in the criminal spectrum, the next standard of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. In the civil world, there's also preponderance of the evidence and clear and convincing in the middle there. But this is a sort of spectrum, if you will. And probable cause is down near the bottom. So officers don't need a lot to be able to essentially take someone's freedom, and then they have to prove themselves innocent.
Yeah, and every agency is different. We didn't put it in this story because there's only so much we can put in this story. But we had
Do you guys think that they realized that his hand was in the camera? Look, watch this, watch it. You see his hand down there in the bottom corner? You guys think that they realized that?
We deal a lot with the law.
See, look, watch this. See how he's moving his hand? Look on the left side and then look in the bottom right-hand corner.
The lowest standard of proof is reasonable suspicion.
That's a weird angle, because the way that his hand is set up, he's like, from her point of view, he's perpendicular. So like she's looking straight ahead and he's looking straight ahead, but neither of them are looking each other in their eyes for this. Shout out to Lloyd Scott 9. What's good with it, bro? So make that make sense. Why they got that room set up like that? And why they got her facing the cubicles? You know what I'm saying?
It's, you know, more than a gut feeling, something an officer can articulate. That's usually what's used as the standard of proof for a stop. The next level is the standard of proof for an arrest, which is probable cause.
Hold on real quick. Hold on. Y'all see his hand?
Gut feeling, something an officer can articulate. That's usually what's used as the standard of proof for a stop. The next level.
You see his hand up there? See that? See, hey, that's that OCD stuff. Remember how I always be telling y'all that I'm OCD? That's that stuff right there. That's that stuff that if y'all knew me in real life, I would get on y'all nerves with that. Y'all see that little corner that's off right there? You see that corner? You see that right there? It's off. You see that? Oh man, they probably just ran that through. They probably just ran that through the editor and was like, ain't nobody gonna notice that. Ain't nobody gonna notice that. Yeah, they in the same location. This place that they working with gotta be tiny. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This place that they working with, it's got that they working in, it's got to be tiny. Look how close they are to each other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we doing webcam forensics in this bad boy. But she looking straight ahead. She's looking straight ahead at a webcam, and he's looking straight ahead at a webcam. But they got to be sitting at a table or something, and their line of sight is perpendicular, which means that neither of them are looking each other in the eye. But the way that they have this Zoom call or this Skype call program, they have it looking like they're having a direct conversation with each other. Like, man, that's crazy. They probably had to train for like a week to like not naturally look away at each other, because like imagine if they looked away from the camera and gave each other eye contact on accident. I bet you they had to redo this like mad times. See, that's that OCD stuff.
Is the standard of proof for an arrest, which is probable cause. And then in the criminal spectrum, the next standard of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. In the civil world, there's also preponderance of the evidence and clear and convincing in the middle there. But this is a sort of spectrum, if you will, and probable cause is down near the bottom. So officers don't need a lot to be able to essentially take someone's freedom, and then they have to prove themselves innocent.
Yeah, and every agency is different. We didn't put it in this story because there's only so much we can put in this story, but we had a really long conversation with multiple people in leadership in Cobb County. And the chief said it as he was talking about probable causes, as you mentioned, the spectrum. From his perspective, two people looking alike or facial recognition technology giving them results. From his perspective and their agency perspective, that's not even enough for probable cause. And so it goes back to at least how some of these facial recognition companies say they pitch the technology to agencies. They're saying, hey, we never say like, this is bulletproof, this is absolutely right. We instead want you to treat it like anonymous tip in the same way that if someone called your police agency and said, I think I saw person A, can I talk to you about it? And then that officer has to then investigate. They're saying that's what the system should be, that you've got a starting point, but it shouldn't be enough to close a case. And I thought the last soundbite that we ended on with, it really spoke to that, you know, this agency is using FRT for any kind of crime, whether it's serious or not. And the reason why is because they feel like their policies allows them to kind of have checks and balances, and that the FRT is not going to close the case for them. It's not going to solve the case for them, but it is going to open the doors of investigations for them.
You know, we have an old saying in investigative reporting: if your mother tells you she loves you, check it out.
Check it out.
You know,
My mom
we
hates
verify
that saying.
everything.
She really does.
Well, mom knows. Mom knows you love her. But you know, it does. Actually, it made me ask the question that I don't know the answer to. Maybe you can help answer this. Were the actual perpetrators, who were the real men, who were, you know, not mistakenly identified, the others were any of them caught?
That is unclear. A lot of these cases are still ongoing, open cases at the police department.
So see, this is what I'm saying too. You see how a lot of these cases are still ongoing? If you guys see how a lot of these cases are still ongoing, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. This is arrest acceleration technology, not necessarily crime solving technology. I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you all know the difference between arrest acceleration technology and crime solving technology? Let me know in the comment section what the difference between arrest acceleration technology and crime solving technology are.
Department, but also civil cases. So that's yet to be determined. But one thing is for sure, it wasn't the fact that police were able to find the true suspect and go arrest him, and that's why the people were released. It was simply because after they got lawyers involved, an additional interrogation was done. Then ultimately, these fathers and these young men were able to say, hey, actually, I was not in this city at all. I was not even miles close to this city. I was actually over here this day.
And they had receipts and things like that.
All of those things. And the interesting is, in I believe 2 out of the 3 cases, they didn't immediately know that facial recognition was used against them. They're trying to figure out, hey, wait, why am I arrested? Why is there a warrant out for retail theft, for shoplifting and eluding? And it isn't until they've already spent some time in jail, then they've got their public defender or their actual criminal defense attorney, and then those attorneys are able to find out, oh, wait, they're saying they used this to get you here. And then the wheels kind of start turning in the victim's mind, oh, that absolutely doesn't make sense. I can give you the receipts to show you where I was Thursday, November 25th or whatever day.
Yeah, I mean, police and prosecutors aren't required to tell you the evidence against you until they're prosecuting you. And that's in what they call the discovery phase. And it's called Brady material, which is, it's because of a case named Brady, where they're required to give you potentially exculpatory evidence so that you can use that to defend yourself. But that's way down the process. And that doesn't help if you're already incarcerated or have spent time in jail for a crime you didn't commit.
Yeah, it doesn't help. But one thing that could is the transparency that would come from policies like, let's say, Cobb County, even if after they do all of the 5 steps of the 6 steps, when they go before a judge to kind of, you know, get that warrant or request a warrant, they then have to tell the judge, yeah, we did all this additional investigation to corroborate some kind of evidence, but we also use facial recognition technology. And I think arming a judge or arming the decision makers with information and transparency, that kind of is another step along the way that could have.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Beans and Cornbread. Crime solving technology involves forensics, which means that they're actually analyzing data in an effort to actually solve crimes. Arrest accelerating crime means, or arrest accelerating technology means crime technology that makes it easier and faster to arrest somebody, but that's simply just arrest somebody and match them to a crime, not necessarily getting the actual perpetrator. So it just basically is a quick way to tie up loose ends. That's one of the reasons why all of these people who committed these crimes, the actual perpetrators are still on the run, because these are arrest accelerants and they just help the police to justify arresting somebody. They don't necessarily prove that the person committed a crime. You know what I'm saying?
These checks and balances and minimize the disparities in arrests and ultimately changing people's lives, because I mean, it's no secret that communities of color experience a level of mistrust or distrust with policing, and you don't need like one more thing to kind of throw a wrench in that.
Yeah, and the way, and just at least the examples you showed, the way some of these falsely arrested people were treated by police, you know, they were treated as though they were guilty.
They were, and I would say the exception of those 3 cases was in DeKalb County. And
Why did he struggle so much to say that? Did you guys notice that this guy here, he struggled to say that? These guys, they were treated like they were guilty. Why was that so difficult to get out?
really changing people's lives, because I mean, it's no secret that communities of color experience a level of mistrust or distrust with policing, and you don't need like one more thing to kind of throw a wrench in that.
Yeah, and the way, and just at least the examples you showed, the way some of these falsely arrested people were treated by police, you know, they were treated as though they were guilty.
They were, and I would say the exception of those 3 cases was in DeKalb County.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that, Patrick. Patrick says, I hate these phrases, communities of color, people of color. We need to make sure and lay a thick line in the sand that people understand that that's not acceptable to address us as that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And what makes that case stand out, other than it being local here, is that DeKalb County also didn't know, okay, they're arresting someone on a warrant, and they didn't know that they were doing it at the fault of facial recognition technology. So even in that body cam, as I was watching, we played as much as we could, but as I was watching it myself, it's about an hour, I thought the police officer really treated him differently compared to the other 2 cases. He seemed to be open to listening to Randall Reed, who he arrested, saying like, hey, I've never been to Louisiana. And you hear the officer say, well, who would use your name? Who has your license? And so I would say that case out of the 3 in total was a little different, because it seemed like he was actually treated as if he was innocent.
Wow. Sierra Cummings, another great investigation. Knowing you, I know you're probably not going to stop with these 2 stories, and we expect you to stay on it.
And I will. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah. And she did stay on it, because that was her who did those most recent reports about that facial recognition case that we looked at the beginning of the stream. All right. So real quick, ladies and gentlemen, let me shout out Black Free Thinker. Shout out to Black Free Thinker for the 4 months of membership support. Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames for Black Free Thinker. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Patrick Taylor. I didn't even catch this when you first put this in, bro. I'm glad I checked this out. Definitely appreciate it. Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and show Patrick Taylor some love with the $1.99 super chat. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to my backup channels. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to my other social media. Make sure that you all are part of the Discord. Hit that link that's in the chat and join the Discord so that you don't miss any notifications. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
Y'all niggas funny.
Yeah. I fuck about $1 million, I keep it a trend, resilient, they energy off. My image is got reaching deep in the pot, I got features of people like LAWZ. Yeah. RIP on me, TT. The melanin on me, my cheekbone is native, the soil is my where I walk. Some beavers on me, my nigga, go figure, my enemy, make enemy scoff. Admit it, your energy off. My frequency killer, you soft. I show people love, they act like they above it, but switch when they see me, I'm lost. I tell the truth when I talk. Niggas wanna be me. I used to sleep in the car till my girl when it crashes in car. Now I got a crib down the street. Young niggas made it so far. I never lose what I'm on. For now I'm cool being me, but I need you to match what I'm on. How you wanna play games when I won? Ay, I play with cash for the fun. Women looking at me, she think I'm needing her on. I'm doing me for me, hun. I never needed no one. I never bleed around sharks. They're saying you are what you eat, but she wanted me to be lunch. God body from the turf, my hair in the breeze. Bitch, I'm Farrakhan, keep the peace. I look out for me.
Fuck about what they say, I can't hear them from the clouds. Ay. I don't talk too much, but these diamonds talking loud. Ay. And I'm turning heads, got these bitches going out. Ay. Fuck about what they say, what they say, what they say. I can't hear them from the clouds. Ay.
Diamond so vibe, always down to slide. I've been real from the jump start, it's just part of my design. I've been self-made, you know the bills paid, I feel inspired to self-prescribe. You want a real one, well I'm the real thing, I'm running rampant through a mind. Ayy, yeah, I never lose what I'm on. I'm always cool with being me, ay, they never match what I'm on. Ay, I play with cash for the fun. God body from the turf, my hair in the breeze. I'm Farrakhan, keep the peace, I look out for me.
Fuck about what they say, I can't hear them from the clouds. Ay. I don't talk too much, but these diamonds talking loud. Ay. And I'm turning heads, got these bitches going out. Ay. Fuck about what they say, what they say, what they. Fuck about what they say, I can't hear them from the clouds. Ay.
I'm way up, nothing less than, and I'ma stay up.
Can't hear them from the clouds. Ay.
God, please save him for me. Protect his peace, no matter what he